Good evening, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today for the second version of the AMA hosting by Archethic. Today we have a very special guest joining us, Maxime Baron, which is the co-founder of Hash Consulting, a crypto marketing agency. Maxime, I just put you as a speaker right now, so you should be able to answer.
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. A pleasure. I think I have a little echo on your side. I don't know if you're using speakers or like something
No,
like
I'm
this.
I'm using a headset. There's a bit of an echo on your side as well.
Okay, let me modify something. I really get hyped up by this little music as an introduction. Get used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
So how have you been? How has been? How has your weekend been? Basically, a bit
Well,
rock and roll, let's say.
yeah. Same as everyone, I guess. Just watching USDC DPEG was a bit scary. Not gonna lie. I think pretty much everybody got this kind of spark of fear on Friday. It went back up, so that's a good thing, a good sign. I don't know how it's going to go macro-wise, but we're not here to talk about macroeconomics, so we'll stick to crypto. I mean, for now, the market has reacted extremely positively, which I don't really understand. I'll be honest with you. Like, how do you have a plus 10% day on these kind of conditions? I don't know. So doing fine. Doing fine.
That's
Very
where we
busy,
are.
but yeah, complex market.
I mean, that's what we are. We are in crypto. You have three banks failing in 1 week, and then we have like a huge pump and a bull market rally starting with quantitative easing. But you ask more. Let's see. Interesting
Yeah.
space to be in. That's for sure. So you're right. Let's focus about the subject of today, which is you as a co-founder of Hash Consulting and in partnership and advisory with Archethic. We could start with a little deep dive about yourself. If you could maybe introduce you to the community, tell us a bit about your background, your experiences. Please go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for having me tonight. So, my name is Max. I'm the co founder of Hash Consulting. We're a communications and consulting agency. We're based in Luxembourg, and we basically do business with businesses looking to either launch in Web3 or understand Web3. I can get a bit more into the details of our missions afterwards. I've been in crypto since 2017, late 2017. I'll add that. I bought my first ETH at $800. Then bought some shit coins and then lost everything. But I stayed for the tech because I really didn't have a choice, really. I didn't have anything left. But I stayed for the tech itself, then found a first job in crypto, which was tokenizing gold. That was my first experience. And then I met Owen, who some of you might know as Hasher, and he founded the company in 2019, and I joined him in early 2020 to help structure everything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been in this market for 6 years, and I'm still amazed by what it's capable of doing. And we have a very good example. We had a very good example today. So yeah, you never get tired. Well, you always get tired in this market, but you never get bored. That's the point. Except maybe in December, last December was a bit boring, but other than that, it's a really cool market. So there you go.
What a time to be alive. Fair enough. Fair enough. So what is the direction Ash Consulting is taking right now? Like, I was going to ask you what inspired you to create Ash Consulting, but from my understanding, I'm taking an outside perspective here to lead the community as if nobody knew you in the first place. Uh, so you joined Ash Consulting in 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
2020. I
2020.
Yeah. Officially, let's say officially 2021, but I've been working with the company for a bit more than 3 years. Actually, it's just 3 years. It was about March because I remember 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago, 13th of March 2020 was the COVID crash. which was one of the most memorable events we had in the past 3 years. And that was the start of my activity with Hash Consulting. So started from the literal bottom of the market at $3,800 a Bitcoin to where we are now. So in order to, like, what was the question again? About Hash Consulting, what we do as a company?
No, basically, as a co-founder of Hash Consulting, what is the vision that you could share with the community about Hash Consulting?
It's always about not doing marketing for the sake of only doing marketing. If I can make myself understood, sorry. What we've been doing for the past 3 years is work with lots of different companies in crypto. All right, I'm going to take an example so that it's easier for everybody to understand. We have two main types of clients that I like to call partners. We have pure Web3 tech-focused, tech-driven partners, and we have Web2-ish kind of clients that I will talk about right afterwards. We started, Owen and I, by working with layer ones and really, tech-focused, again, tech-driven companies. Those companies had a challenge, which is they had a type of technology that needed to be understood, that needed to be vulgarized and popularized, and that needed to be broadcasted to a set of, channels. That was the first type of mission that we still do to this very day, is being able to understand what a layer one is, what a ZK rollup is, what state sharding is, all of those, in order to be able to communicate on that, because you cannot communicate about anything if you don't understand the thing you're talking about. And I'm not saying we understand everything, of course. It's technical. We have to get into the gist of it. But still, the first mission we've always done is understanding a technology, broadcasting it to the biggest audience possible, and then building brand image, building brand relationships in order for them to be, to be able to build a community, to gather a community, to activate events and stuff like that. So it's always been about taking the brands which had an actual piece of value to add to the ecosystem and put them under the spotlight as much as we could. We've had tons of demand of people coming to us and talking with us for us to be able to understand what they were doing. But for the vast majority of the conversations that we had during the last bull market, which approximately lasted 2 years in 2020 until 2022, the vast majority of the projects that we talked with, we didn't do business with them because of the fact that we thought, it's our own personal opinion, of course, we're not evangelists or anything, but our personal opinion was, okay, it's a copycat of something else, or it's just speculation driven, or it's another collection of giraffes chewing gums on the Ethereum blockchain. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. So the motto of the company was always, you find something that has value, you understand it, you broadcast it, and you make as much noise as possible. That's what we do.
One very interesting point that you just mentioned, actually, and I will be able to share some experiences related to this point, is that basically you are doing a deep due diligence on every project that you want to work with before working with them. And from experience, when we are working with marketing crypto agencies, most of the time, if not almost always, you actually just pay for shillings, or pay for influencers, or pay for channels that you may be able to use, or like this type of content. But here, due to your deep dive and due diligence that you do into the project, you are first vetting the project in the first place, and second, you are understanding the tech and the project, being able to retranscript and modify the content that needs to be pushed. And I'm telling you from experience, this is a nightmare. When you have a complex project, like Archethic is one, the amount of data, amount of information that you have to give to the marketing agency that doesn't know anything about your project is tremendous. And the learning curve they have to achieve before being able to speak write about your projects is also tremendous. And
Yep.
working with you, actually, we've seen some beautiful illustration of what you just said. And I think actually it was with Iril, which is actually here in the chat today. If you want to say hi a bit later, don't hesitate, Iril. It was like the transcription of the tech was one of the best we ever had working with any influencers before, because the deep understanding and the deep due diligence done by you in the first place and then by the influencers guaranteed the end users to have a good assimilation of the tech and a good retranscription and explication, basically. So I
Yep.
just wanted to, highlight this point because I really think that's one of your key advantages, having worked with you for now a bit of time. But let's not spoil everything, if I may.
No, I agree. I agree. If I can allow myself to add one piece of detail, it's always what we, because so I've been working with Owen, so Hasher, for the past long time, 3 years, a bit more than that, and I've kind of taken his mentality on how to approach technology. The way he understood everything, he kind of, gave that to me. Which is an awesome gift, and I'll always be thankful for that. Is the capacity to understand a piece of technology and then explain it in simple terms. My part was not explaining it in simple terms. My part was understanding it, and I remember spending 3 entire weeks on the Archethic yellow paper back at the time, until it clicked. But it took 3 weeks. Of course, it was not 21 days times 24 hours, but still, it was a long time for me to get into the details of how it worked, how everything was working and pieced together. Everything was pieced together until it clicked. And I think that was the start of the cooperation we started some years ago. But yeah, this is still, the due diligence is a big part of what we do, because cryptocurrency is a very dangerous market. Lots of things can happen instantly. We've seen some examples this Friday. You have banks trading like shit coins. So just imagine the amount of negative stuff that happens in crypto. So we want to be absolutely sure about the fact that the companies that we work with are legit, and knocking on wood, but still, that's always what we've tried to do and always what we will try to do for the foreseeable future.
Totally get you on that. Actually, you just said that to the community that after these 3 weeks deep dive on the yellow paper, something clicked about Archethic. I'm now convinced that during the Q&A at this end of this AMA, you're gonna get cooked by the community on that. So just want to give you a little notice for that.
Let's do it. And if I cannot answer, Iril will take my place and answer, in spite of what I can do. My research was a long time ago, so I may not remember everything, but let's do it.
Anyway, I'll be here to help you guys, no worries. But duly noted. Maybe let's have a little deep dive into how is it working, basically, Hash Consulting. Like, how do we reach you? How does it work? It seems very abstract for many people when we talk about crypto marketing. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, well, it's fairly simple. Let's say you're a company, right? You have a product, or you have a service, but usually it's a product. You have a product which actually brings value to the ecosystem. So let's say, I don't know, you have a very advanced DeFi protocol that allows you to do something that we've never seen before. That's something that's quite interesting. So let's say you reach out to us. You have your product, you have your objectives. So is it going to be user acquisition? Is it going to be image? Is it going to be a combination of both? What we really try and do is understand what you're trying to achieve with your company. So again, it's a spectrum, like from user acquisition to image, and then we can find the balance between the two. And then after this first discussion, where we get to know you, understand the product, understand the vision, the mentality. If that goes well, then we start due diligence. So due diligence is about like a week's time. It can be faster, but it's about a week's time where we're going to look at everything, the product, how it's working, the token economics, if there's a token, or if it's NFTs, because we could also talk about tokens, on-chain data, off-chain data, if we have audits and stuff like that. Looking at pretty much everything. It's really going to be purely dependent on the business model, because of course you're not going to do a due diligence on an automated market maker the same way you're going to make a due diligence on an NFT collection. It's really going to be really dependent on the type of company and the type of business. Once we do that, we start asking questions. Usually, if we don't have any questions, it's either a very good sign or a very bad sign. But yeah, we do due diligence. After that, we ask our questions. And once we came to understand what you do, and we think it's something of value, then we can try and find a deal. What does that mean? So it's working with content creators, it's working with specialized media, working with radio, television, cinema as well. Some members of the community of Multiverse X, which has been a long-term client, have found that Multiverse X is going to be featured in a movie, in an upcoming movie. I'm not going to give you the name. I'll let you research if you want to. It's public now. That's something that we've done with Multiverse X and our cinema partner. So we can cover a very large spectrum of complexity, both in terms of product and in terms of marketing strategies, right? Because you're not going to present a mobile wallet the same way you're going to present an AMM, right? It doesn't make any sense because one is simple, the other is not, and you're not going to target the same audience for both products. So you have to adjust and customize everything depending on that.
It's very interesting to actually showcase to the community the whole process of onboarding into your company as a client. It will also show them what we had to do in some ways and the synergies that can come up from this kind of partnership and advisory. One point I would like to underline here is that basically having such thorough due diligence processes enable you to propose very qualitative content and channels and way of marketing the project to every client that you have. And that's a question actually. How many do you work with? A lot of clients? Do you work with very few? Do you have, what kind of panel do you have in terms of clients?
It's really, I'll add something before answering to your question. We try to do it that way. It's not always perfect. I'm not going to say, yeah, we've been absolutely perfect for the past 3 years. No.
Of course.
No, you're building a company in the most volatile ecosystem. Of course, you're going to make mistakes, right? But to answer to your question, we've worked with a bit more than 70 companies in the past 2 years. So it's really going to be dependent on the type of market in which we are, because of course in a bull market you're going to have a lot more demand than in a bear market. I would say that right now we're kind of between the two. Yeah. Exactly. We don't really know where we're going. But no, to give you an understanding, in bull market times, or at least for the past 2 years, when the market was going crazy, we would receive like from 20 to 30 demands per week, approximately. So more than 3 per day, more than 4 actually, even 5. And we said yes to approximately like 1 per week or so. And we still have the same ratios, let's say, but the demand is lower, of course, because it's a bear market. So brands are not going to want to communicate in a bear market because there's less volume, there's less interest, which makes absolute sense. And we also advise our clients not to communicate too much during those times, because if you have a day where Bitcoin is crashing by a factor of like 20, 25, 30%, you put everything on standby. You just stop. You stop. I've had conversations with clients in the past saying, well, no, we can't stop communications here. Even if the market is dying, we can't do that. And my only answer has been and will always probably be, you've got people literally bleeding in the streets because of this market. You are not going to promote your brand right now. It doesn't make any sense. It is insulting to people. It is insulting to content creators. So you always have to respect that, and respect the volatility of the market. It has to be respected in some way. I can see some companies pushing lots of content during difficult times, right? Don't do that. Just don't do that. It's really not mirroring any good image on your behalf. It's really not doing you any favor. So that's always what we're trying to put forward. I think I've I think I've moved a bit away from the original question.
No, but one point which you're stating, which can actually correlate with our positioning in marketing since quite a while now. And just to address your first point, basically all the projects that were launching just at the brink of the beer market or just at the beginning, basically right now are trading under market caps counting in thousands or dozens of thousands of dollars. It was a multi-million project. So most of them actually died, many a few made it. But the fact of communicating the biggest milestone during such event as Black Swans, as like days with minus 30% in the BTC price, or like events like this, basically you lose all the impact of your communication, all the impact of your milestone. And it makes sense. I mean, like everybody is busy looking for why did it bleed? How did it bleed? What can I do to stop the bleeding? Where should I invest to retrieve the value that I lost? Or maybe this is a good entry for me, etc., etc. So the mind of investors, the mind of crypto users are not focused on basically following the casual project that you invested in and that you follow in the everyday day-to-day life, if I may say. So just wanted to add that correlating to
Yep.
Archethic, that's actually the positionment that we've been taking for quite a while, keeping a casual communication and just doing milestone one after the other in days that are not crunching
Yep.
or crashing like crazy as lately. But as you stated, we've been, drifting a bit from the initial question. So if I may recenter the conversation right now.
Yep. Of
Uh,
course.
so we were talking about, how is it casually working at Ash Consulting? And I would ask you now, how would you differentiate, in a nutshell, Hash Consulting with the competition? May it be traditional competitors or may it be crypto competitors?
Hmm. Um, I'm gonna have two answers here. One answer about the crypto market and one answer about the traditional market. The first answer is going to be about the traditional market. I don't think it's really comparable in any way. Well, it is comparable in some ways, in the sense that we're working with, again, content creators, and we're working with media, and we're working with outlets, and we're synchronizing everything, and answering KPIs, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing that the traditional market does not have is the volatility we were just speaking about. This is something that is completely foreign to them, and I know that because we've had the luck to be working with big brands on from the Web2 industry. By the way, I did talk about our Web3 clients, but I did not talk about our Web2 clients.
Sure.
So the main difference is there. The main difference is they do not have to manage volatility and to be able to be absolutely 100% agile during their communications strategies. That's the main difference. Now, in terms of comparing Hash Consulting within the crypto industry, comparing Hash Consulting in the crypto industry with our competitors, I don't think we have a direct competitor as of now. We have, of course, there's other agencies in France and internationally. I think the main difference with either us or I think it applies to every single market. It's not just France, because, as you know, we've been in talks with agencies from pretty much anywhere in the world. I think the difference that we have is that when we say yes, and a definite yes, the process is a little different, in the sense that we try to bring as much value as we possibly can, and we try to understand as much as we can the problematics with which the company is evolving, right? Because we're working with big companies like Lacoste and Renault and companies like those, but we're also mostly working with startups. And you're not going to do the same job with a startup than you are with a big company, right? Because big company is going to have big budgets, and it's okay if something fails, right? But a startup is sometimes one marketing budget away from, having to make a cut on another budget, let's say development or developers or a new employee or stuff like that. So you have to be able to understand absolutely everything, because the burn rate of the companies we work with are extremely different from one to another, and we need to be able to understand that. And I'll add another layer, which could differentiate us, is we're not trying to. I mean, we're trying to be everywhere as long as it remains within the blockchain industry. There's lots of agencies that can do lots of different things, like crypto, and then lifestyle, and then sneakers influencers or something. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. We've always been focused on the crypto only side of everything, which is why we have content creators on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you need. But we can also do some radio shows that we produce ourselves on BFM TV. We can do some cinema. It's always been about trying to be, or being able to work with a client from day one to Series A, Series B, whatever, right? So we want to be able to work with them as long as possible, because it's the way the cryptocurrency market should work, I think, is that when you have good actors, you are supposed to do your absolute maximum in order for them to be brought into the spotlight. And if you just do it for a one-shot operation or something, of course we've done one-shot operations. I'm not saying we never did, but we always try to promote the long-term aspect of everything, because it's the only way you're going to have value brought to the ecosystem over the years. Because if you only do one shots, then you do your one shot, you get your money, you do whatever you're supposed to be doing, and then you leave it at that, right? And if you do that, well, it's not really the way you're going to make the cryptocurrency market advance, or you're not going to make it move in the right way. That's my personal conviction, of course, but that's what I would say.
What you're describing right now sounds to me like almost like an advisory, basically taking the project like to Series
Yep.
A, Series B, as you were mentioning, and many of the companies doing this kind of marketing in the industry just go for a quick buck, as you said, in, out, like paid for influencers, paid for chilling, paid for content, bye bye.
Yep.
Regardless of the project, regardless of the tech, regardless of anything, basically. So this approach, which is disrupting many other companies,
it shouldn't be, but yes,
it shouldn't be. Totally agree with you. But if the world was a place like this, I would love to be in it. But banks crashing right now, so it's not always like we want.
agreed.
But no, that totally makes sense, and that's the values that you are promoting are totally aligned with our values and the long-term view. Just underline the fact that we are very happy to have you as partners and advisors today.
Likewise.
Let me actually switch to the next question. So we were talking about the market right now. We're talking about the crypto market. What about the crypto marketing agency market? So you were saying that according to bull market and bear market, the demand that you have in terms of clients is, a big difference in between those kind of season in the crypto markets. How do you see the crypto marketing agency market evolving in the future, regardless of course, the bull market and the bear market?
Well, I think in order to understand that, you kind of had to define what marketing is, because marketing can be from everything to product, from product to communications. Communications is the end of everything, I would say. So in order to answer your question, the marketing industry itself is going to be divided, at least in my mind, in both communications agencies and consulting agencies. As of today, everyone is kind of doing its own thing. There's not really like, a defined market. Of course, you're starting to have some competitors trying to work with big brands, et cetera, et cetera. But I would say that for now, there's a classification in two very big, broad families that are not really precise. The first family is consulting. So you can consult in pretty much anything. You can consult in NFTs. You can consult in whatever you'd like, accounting if you'd like, compliance if you'd want. There's a lot of agencies that are doing that, and then there's the communications part or the marketing part where everyone's trying to battle to get the best deals and get exclusive deals with content creators and media. I think for now it's just like the crypto industry. There's a bit of everything everywhere, and there's not really a real structure. The first base of structure that I would see is those two families: consulting agencies and marketing agencies. Because again, marketing really means lots of different things, because marketing is branding as well. But a branding agency is not going to do the same thing as a communications agency. So I think the question should be more specific as to communications agencies. There's really not many ways of doing communications in crypto. You have to understand how it works, but it's either you have partners covering Twitter, YouTube, some media websites, as well as Telegram and Discord, and then you're all set. And then the difference is, how do you manage your partner? How do you manage your partner on the partner side, or how do you manage the partner on the client side? It's all about behavior, well-being. I think it's about those kind of values that the difference is going to be made. But as of now, the market is just way too big for agencies to really consider competitors as competitors. I always like to say that the competitors that people think we might have are more complementers than anything else. The other agencies in the world or in France, we work with every single one of them. Like there's not an agency that is my my absolute enemy, or someone that I would despise because I see them as someone that's taking market shares from me. No, I don't. It's not the way it works. The crypto market is still extremely small compared to what it's going to become. So you just have to make the necessary steps in order to bring it forward the best way possible. Competition is healthy when it is well done and transparent. Yeah, I don't see I don't see like a specific competitor that we might have as of today. Everybody's doing pretty much lots of everything. We need some time for the market to specialize itself, and then you're going to find some classes within that.
You were dividing the marketing into two sections. The first one being consulting and the second one being communication. And as you mentioned earlier, everybody's doing a bit everything right now. From what you stated a bit earlier, you are doing both, right, at Hash Consulting?
Yes, absolutely. I like to say that we're here to give birth to an idea and then to make it known. I'll do it in French because it's a lot cooler in French. J'aime bien dire qu'on est là pour faire naître une idée et pour la faire connaître. Because that's what we do. We try to share the passion of everything that we've understood in the blockchain industry to the brands, because there's some brands that are coming to us and say, well, hello, we'd like to do something in Web3 and we do not know how it works. We don't know what to do. What can we do? And so we've done lots of talks with different brands from the automotive industry, from the banking industry, that just wanted to understand, what it is. What is an NFT? Does it have to be speculative? What is a blockchain? How can we use it internally? How can we use it externally? How can we improve user experience with it? Should it be a B2B or a B2C company? It's the first category of what we do is educating companies and employees to what it is, what you can do with it. And we always try to put the focus on it is a tool, which does not mean you have to do something just because the board has asked you to do something with blockchain, right? It's a tool. If it is something that can help you alleviate a problem, within your company, within your industry, so be it. Let's do it. Let's do something with blockchain. But if you just want to use the blockchain name in order to drive hype, that's not the right use, right? I'll take the example of a big bank that did a partnership with the Sandbox. I think it was a few years ago. They never even had a land on the Sandbox, and yet they had like press releases going absolutely everywhere, and Cointelegraph, CoinDesk talking about it, and then Sand went plus 30%. That's a good thing, but like use the blockchain. Should it be NFTs or fungible tokens? I really don't give a shit, but use the blockchain in order to create something of value. And whenever the market gets crazy, people tend to forget that. So we always try to do our best to keep it at the core value, which is using it as a tool in order to create something new or something more efficient.
What is interesting here that I hear is that you're really in it, not only for the financial aspect, but for the values and for the philosophy of blockchain, basically educating, introducing people and companies, individuals that never been in contact with the blockchain space. And that's a long way. I've been there, and when you have to explain NFTs, when you have to explain Byzantine fault tolerance to an acquaintance or to a partner which doesn't know anything about blockchain, you know that you feel work that you do in weeks and not days. But in the end, it's for the greater good of the market, that's for sure, and in the greater scope of mass adoption of the technology. One point that you were mentioning is that so you not only, and that's unique actually from my experience working with other brands, you're not working only for crypto projects, but also you stated Renault, if I'm not mistaken, and
yes.
Another one I can't wrap my mind around it. But so this is quite unique to have a dual point of target acquisition, user target acquisition strategy, let's say, of people which are not in crypto and people which are in crypto, or companies, if I may say. How did you pull such big names? How did you get access? How did it work, basically, for you to be dually focusing on, regular traditional companies and crypto companies?
The answer is going to be fairly simple. They asked us. The thing is, it's not really about the name of the company you work with. It's about, again, what they're doing. The first big Web2 client that we work with was Lacoste. The thing I really liked about Lacoste is that they're going to hate me for saying this, but whatever. They brought something which didn't exist yet, which was DAOizing. So like, in the form of a DAO, the voting power about the artistic direction of the Web3 branch of Lacoste, right? So it was the first time that a community could actually have a voting power on the direction the brand is going to take. That's fucking amazing. I think it's one of the first times ever that's happened, and I was really charmed by that. And then they released the PFP collection, and then they also did some other stuff. Brands is going to do what a brand is going to do, right? But the first idea and the way they pitched it to us was really interesting. What I liked also with Renault, for example, is they didn't try to do like 20,000 NFTs for like $150 a piece. No, they had an actual history that respected their image, that respected their brand, and that respected their price point as well. We're going to talk about Porsche as well. Yes, we are, because it's loads of mistakes, even though they made some good decisions recently. Renault, what they did was 1,972 NFTs, and 1972 is the date of birth of the R5, which is one of the most iconic cars of the Renault history, which offered to the holders some crazy experiences. And as an automotive fan, should you be an automotive fan or not, but if you are an automotive fan, it is something that resonates with you because it makes sense, right? And it was like 80 euros or something. It resonates with Renault because Renault is, it's not McLaren, right? You're not going to spend 0.911 ETH on an NFT if it's Renault. It doesn't make any sense. And you're not going to sell 8,000 NFTs if you're Porsche. Why? Because you're selling cars like the I'm going to talk to the car lovers here, but like your Porsche, you're selling cars like 300 or 400 editions of GT2 RSs and GT3 RSs per year. How are you going to sell 8,000 NFTs? It doesn't resonate with your brand. It doesn't resonate with the brand image. And as long as the brand that gets in touch with us understands those principles, then let's do it. If they don't understand it, we'll gladly, explain it to them. And if we can't, agree, that's okay. I mean, agree to disagree. Go work with another company. That's perfectly fine. The market is free. Just do whatever you'd like. But to answer to your first question, they asked us. That's it.
Yeah. So those companies which are not crypto companies ask you to guide them in the crypto industry, basically. Were you the one leading those kind of strategies? Because it seems that those strategies are very well thought and in adequation with the crypto market. And this is from, somebody that doesn't know crypto. I'm working at Renault. I want to launch NFTs. I might have the tendency to fall into, the actual most common use of raising money for NFTs or the utilities or whatever. Here, like the thought process of these kind of strategies is very well defined. And my question is, were you at the origin of this definition? Were you a partner in this elaboration of strategies?
Partner, yes. At the origin, no. I'll be transparent with how it works in the market today. I was talking a few minutes ago about communications agencies, marketing agencies, let's say, and consulting agencies. Usually, those brands are going to talk to consulting agencies that specifically spend their time in order to do that. And the thing is, we're good friends and good partners with lots of them. And they came to us asking, what can we do in order to communicate on on the market, and so that's how it went down for the first deals, which were some years ago. And now what we do is we talk to the brands that come to us, educate them on the macro subjects. So, what is a blockchain? How are you able to, exchange value with a ledger? Doesn't make any sense. I'm talking about the literal sense of a ledger, not the device. So explaining everything to them, and then if we can create an idea in their mind and they need an operational partner in order to do that, either we will do it because we think we're relevant, or we're just going to say, okay, we're partners with those guys. We're partners with those guys. They've worked with those brands. Let's work together. And we always work as a group because every single initiative that you've seen from a big brand, it's not just one company doing it. There's lots of companies. There's one company for compliance. There's one company for 3D assets. There's one company for Discord management. There's one company. It's lots of different operations within the same time frame. So we didn't do everything. We participated, and we're extremely glad to have been able to do it. But we didn't do everything.
Very, very precise. It's very interesting to have this walkthrough, even for the community to understand the pros and cons and the, inner mechanisms of this industry. So right now, those were past clients. Some of them are actual clients. Some are new. Do not cite any name. Well, not new, but like officialization is new, let's say. What are the major milestones achieved? Fair enough, briefly, but what is coming? What basically is the upcoming plans that you have in mind for Hash Consulting?
My personal plan is that France is the first step. As of today, we cover France, Poland, Turkey, Japan, Latin America, and a bit of the US. But we don't do any content creation, or we don't do a lot of content creation in the US. Why? Because it's a red ocean. In the way that there's way too many agents everywhere, and you're getting extremely high prices for zero reason. It's also it's a market that is absolutely not profitable. I'll tell you that much. So my goal is to be able to extend to other regions, which I've been doing for the past year, but I don't have, like, let's say the prevalence that we have in France. I don't have that in other markets. Which is my long-term goal for the upcoming years. But it's like there's no you can't really be like it's not like you're gonna win the game, right? It's always evolving. It's always a new step. It's always something new. It's always something that you have to be done differently. There's not going to be someone at the end of your life saying, okay, you've won the game of capitalism. You always have to do something new. And my next thing new is being able to have standing ground in lots of other countries, which I've started doing, which is not finalized yet.
Very clear. This means that your clients basically will have a bigger reach. The more countries you get into the umbrella, the highest and like more qualitative number of calls, they call it. Key operators of influence or something like this. Maybe you know the acronym definition.
You mean KOL?
KOL, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it means key opinion leader.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you know, someone who's able to drive the opinion about something to someone. That's the name that they give content creators. I don't like that name. I really don't like the KOL acronym.
It's widely used, let's say, but fair enough. Everybody has, opinions. Let's actually talk, because you were talking about the reach, the evolution, and the upcoming plans of Hash Consulting. The time is quite running, actually. We need to switch to the Q&A, but before switching, so recently, Archethic and Hash Consulting released a press statement regarding their new partnership and advisory. I believe you are aware of that.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So my question here is like, could you share your thoughts on the benefits of these partnerships and basically which are the synergies do you foresee for those two companies, for Hash Consulting and Archethic?
Well, it's going to be a manifestation of everything that I've said in the past 49 minutes. I guess it becomes a different type of partnership, right? It becomes a different type of relationship, is what I should say, in the sense that we would be fighting for the success of Archethic, and we always fight for the success of every single one of our clients. Of course, I'm not gonna say the contrary. But you know, an advisory deal, it's not something that we do a lot. I think in 3 years we've signed like, and when I say we, I mean Owen and I. I think we've signed like 7 of them, maybe 8. I might be mistaken, but it's. I don't think it's more than 10. I might be mistaken, but I don't think it is 7 or 8. I would say. Because like for example, Owen is also I saw Manuel, Michael Canu from Ternoa dropping by a few minutes before. Owen is an advisor for Ternoa, so it makes the relationship evolve, and it's also a different paradigm because it's not always about communicating about product releases and communicating about strong times. It's always battling for the success of something. And in the case of Archethic, what I see is the technology and the patents and everything that you've been achieving for the past few years. And we have the golden nugget, right? But we need to be able to share it to the whole world. And that's my mission here, is to be able to. I've already understood the technology a long time ago. I probably don't understand it now. I've started doing that in France. Now we need to go international. That's what I would say. I rarely say that publicly, but that's really what I think. Of course, it will have its challenges. It's not easy, but to me, the technology is there. We have to make something out of it, and there is something absolutely amazing to be done out of it. That's my conviction.
We definitely value your expertise and conviction in that matter. Maybe let's just deep dive a little bit about that. I think the community is very eager to obviously know more about the details of these upcoming plans. More will be released lately, but just to give a bit of a background to where it comes from and why did we do what we did, basically. So until a few months ago, basically the whole process was developing the blockchain, and every investors, every collaborator were looking at pieces of papers and patents which are certified for the technology, but the rest like was white paper and yellow paper. So you would be able to actually acquire the titrization of something that doesn't exist, which was happening back in the time on Ethereum blockchain, and now it's like on Polygon and BSC, and soon it will be on its own blockchain with the bridge. So basically, in the last few months, we realized that after 7 years of development, the blockchain that we design is actually functional and it's working pretty well. And from that point, this is where we can actually start to go mainstream, because it was always a duality with like the demands of the community and the reality of the markets, because you had, projects going like mainstream without anything released, and they were really good at marketing. And on the other side, like the, thought process of Sebastian was, well, before doing like this kind of, promote something that doesn't exist, let me develop something that does exist in the first time, and then go to the market with a project which is functional. And it's not the easy way, let's be honest on that. It's like a risky way of doing things, because you don't get the money before you develop the project, you get it like basically after, and you go on like minimal kind of capacities in terms of financial opportunities and such things like this, which explain also a lot of how we did things and the roads we take. But right now we reach a point going through 2 bear markets where basically we have a functional, if I may say, transaction chain, right, for those who knows, or blockchain for those who doesn't know, which is on the brinks of being interoperable with the world. And this achievement now bring us to the point where we wanted to go mainstream, because basically we are only known in the French market. Like 95% of our community is French, let's say. And we wanted to, being around in the field since 2000 and like basically 17 or 16, I've been around many marketing agencies, and we've been working with more than a few of them. And we wanted to be sure to select the right partner to go mainstream. And this is very important, because when you go mainstream, you never have 2 chances of doing the first impression. It's the same sentence in French, but as you may say, it sounds way better in French. But so we really wanted to pick the right partner, the qualitative partner, to be able to reach those kind of markets. And today, in this illustration of this partnership, in this illustration of this advisory, we are very happy and like eager to foresee the synergies that we're going to build together to make Archethic and also Hash Consulting worldwide now.
Well, yep, agreed. And there is one thing I can promise, is that we'll try everything that we can. I cannot promise that we will succeed, but I will definitely do my best to do absolutely everything that I can. I always try not to overpromise, because it's a very difficult market. So of course you're going to be challenged with lots of different things, but the technology is there. Now, the thing that people need to understand is how it works, what you can build on it. And as soon as people have understood how it works and how you can build on it, and then you can start, building an actual ecosystem, which is the most important part of the development of an ecosystem, of a blockchain ecosystem, to my mind. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Totally agree. If you are willing to, let's jump to the Q&A section. We've been a bit late in terms of timing, but let's see what the community have to ask you right now. So guys, basically you can use a button on the Twitter live where you raise your hand, or you do like a demand for being able to speak. So right now I have one demand, and you can also post your questions in the chat of Archethic, the Telegram chat. If this is something easier for you, I will just go there and like pick them up and ask them to Maxime. So right now, yeah, we have Archie. I remember we actually discussed on Twitter about a few DID subjects. So right now you're unmuted. You can talk, Archie.
It says listener. Oh no, it doesn't. Anyway, okay. I'm not gonna talk about Monero, but please ask your question.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for having me, and thank you Maxime for like this quick presentation about Hash Consulting. To be honest, I had no really like a large idea of how it's working, and that was really interesting. So thank you for that. But I got another question for you, Archethic especially. but maybe Maxime can help to understand. I'm not gonna talk about Monero. I'm just gonna talk about Archethic, like the hardware, if it's possible.
About the hardware or the software?
No, like I got few questions. First about the hardware, and then about the software. Can I start with the hardware if that's okay for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Victor is probably going to answer, but it is okay for me,
Perfect.
I guess.
Well, any one of you, but I'm really interested about your project, to be honest, and I have read the white paper, the yellow paper. I'm a bit lack of mathematics skills, so sometimes it's kind of a bit rough, but I read the two papers and I really enjoy and like the way that you guys are trying to bring more convenience to the market, because like, in a sense, if the hardware is really working, what we can do is like, we can just plug into absolutely any application that can be built on Archethic blockchain without having to, just write a password and you mail and stuff like that. Like, it's really convenient for the authentication. Sorry, but my point is like about the hardware. How, like, what form is gonna take? If does it has to be plugged on the phone? Like, it's gonna fit in my pocket, or I don't have any answer on that, and I try to ask on the Discord, but no one has really idea on how it's gonna look as a hardware. Do you guys can answer about that?
So, Maxime, you want to take the bullet or may I go?
No, I'll take the bullet. So is it going to fit in your pocket? Probably a large pocket, but I think it can.
Okay.
No, the preview and the views that I had of it, and of course, Victor, I'm talking under your control, so feel free to correct me because I'm probably going to be wrong here. There's a set number of validators that are going to be plugged pretty much everywhere in the world, and the network is going to autonomously choose which one is going to be the next to validate transactions, depending on the way the network is. I was gonna say constipated, but it's really not the right word. The way the network is used and getting lost here. I'll be honest.
No,
there's going to be a geographical aspect to it because it needs to be geographically decentralized. There's going to be a number of set validators per country, and it's also going to depend on how the network is reacting to the demand that it has at a certain point. That's what I have in mind, but it's a partial answer.
Okay.
No, actually, you're absolutely right, Maxime. This is the validation process, and like the validation process is related to different criteria that you just cited. But I think one part of your question, Archie, was what will it look like?
Yes,
how will it
exactly.
implement with what we have right now? So what will it look like? If you deep dive a bit in some YouTube video back in the time 2017, you have a prototype that has been created. You can also look at the patents, which are listed at the end of the white paper, which will give you a more, deterministic view of what it may look like. But to be honest, it will also depend of the partners we are working with. At one point, we were even considering having a ring rather than something which is plugged to your phone for the scanning. So it could take many forms. The form that we will use first will be the one that is the most suitable for the partners and for the users. And as you stated, the main the main goal behind that was that anybody, anywhere, talking any language in the world could just connect to, Archethic App Store, let's say, use a DApp and just benefit from the service without even knowing that they are using blockchain in the background. That was basically the main target in the vision of Sebastian. And one last thing to add, which will be maybe one of your questions later, the real innovation behind this device is basically that it enables the people or the devices to not store any data as a biometric device. And this is actually a disruption, an innovation, because in the world of biometrics, every biometric device have to do scoring, which is basically stocking an amount of data for you to match when they recognize you and identify you to give you access to what you have on the cloud there on the data sets. So this is the real innovation behind it, and yeah, basically the main goal behind that was mass adoption, of course.
Great, thank you for that answer. Do you guys hear me?
Yes,
perfectly.
Great. So yeah, thank you for that. That's pretty clear. So thank you. I'm gonna wait for that, but yeah, I had another question about more the software. It's like for now, I know that you have one implementation in Elixir, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm saying something wrong here.
So the backend of the blockchain is coded in
Elixir, yeah, like the nodes. If I want to become a validator or something. So you had one Elixir implementation, if that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my question was about like, do you guys plan on doing some other implementation of nodes just to, decentralize a bit the different softwares that's gonna run the nodes on the network, or maybe it's too early, maybe?
So basically, you're saying that right now we're using one language for the nodes, and do we foresee in the future the ability to implement several different languages to protect basically the nodes from attacks, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like different language and maybe just different teams that are working on different implementation of the nodes. That could be interesting as well. If you guys, okay. Yeah.
So you're talking about the node implementation, who can be a miner basically, and how this process is going to work, and are we the only team to add nodes to the network?
That's kind of the question. Yes, thank you.
So yeah, let me be straight with you. No, we won't be the only centralized team giving nodes for a long time. We were in the first place because we need to have a security pool at the beginning to launch the mainnet, because this is the point where the mainnet is the most vulnerable. But in the actually a very short to medium term, if you look at the roadmap, I think for Q2, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the tech team is going to kill me, but the testnet will be open to new mining nodes, so you will be able to join as a node in the testnet, and maybe in Q4 of 2023, the tech team might kill me again, but I think it's the open world mainnet nodes process implementation. So yeah, that's the answer of your question.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna try to run a node myself just to know how the software is working and stuff. So thank you very much for that.
Well, happy to have you in the community, Archie. And
are you gonna put Archethic stickers everywhere as well?
If I really enjoy the project, yeah, definitely.
Okay, good, because there were so many Monero stickers at NFT Paris. I was like, okay, there's one guy doing that. We need to have him on our side.
Maybe you didn't see all the other places I went, because I'm just putting Monero stickers everywhere, but I'm just closing the subject for now. But yeah, if I like really the project, the way it's going, and actually it looks like it is, yeah, of course.
Okay, nice.
So guys, we a bit over delay here already. Let's see if we have one other question. And yeah, for this one, sorry, Maxime, I stole the show. Let's have questions about Hash Consulting. I know, guys, we're gonna do something similar about Archethic in the very short term. So yeah, don't be disappointed. I have another demand right now. So Archie, thank you for asking your questions. Always happy to talk to you in the communities. And Iril, yes, Iril, please, you are now unmuted. Welcome, Iril. Connection. Yep.
Hi guys, perfect. You can hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you for the conversation. That was amazing, really interesting. And hi, Archie, hi, Maxime. I have a question because I am looking for a new graphist for my YouTube channel, and I have seen your website, and I think that the guy that made the graphist is like the guy I need. So if you can give me the name or something, because really it's beautiful.
So his name is Red Dwarf. C'est le nain
He's
rouge.
in the Twitter space actually.
Nice to meet you guys.
Exactly.
No, I'm joking.
No, I know you're talking sarcastically here. It's one of the things we're working on. I'm not gonna divulge anything, but of course, being able to understand technology means that you need to be able to explain it in simple terms and simple images, and that's something we're working on. So, if you're if you're ever looking for a graphist, wait a bit. You might have someone.
No, I'm joking. Thank you very much. But I think it's a good point when the website is the only thing that I can criticize on a project. So keep going, guys, and I'm sure it's going to be well. Thank you.
No, but this is something exactly as Maxime said we're working on, and we had many returns of that issue, and it's always about prioritizing what you need to do first, and like the to-do list is endless, going for years, and you have like, you do your blockchain, or you do the nodes, and you do the BFT, or you do the marketing, or you do the website. And so right now we had a huge work sessions, plurials actually, with Maxime right now, and with Red Dwarf also. So as stated in the communities, a rework of the website is in motion and will be delivered soon. So let's just hope that we won't need another designer when that comes up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. So yeah, Maxime, you've been lucky on this one because you didn't get cooked too much by the community, but that will come in time, let's say.
Yeah.
Let's, I think, wrap it up. It was a pleasure to have you here, Maxime. A pleasure to do this partnership, or rather said, officialization of this partnership and advisory. And thank you for everybody that attended and for the intervenants for interacting with us today.
Thank you for having me, and have a have a good evening, everyone, or a good day if you're somewhere else in the world. Thanks again for having me. And well, we'll be in touch as soon as it's needed.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Have a great day.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.